Hi, I'm Tony Northrup, and for my Lightroom video training series, I'm here to talk about the Slideshow module. The Slideshow module is one of the easiest modules to use, but there's still quite a bit of tweaking. You'll use the Slideshow module whenever you're ready to show off your pictures. Maybe you've taken a set of pictures for a client, and you want to make those pictures look as good as possible as you go through them. Or maybe you just have vacation photos and you want to bring your family in and show it off on your computer or a TV connected to your computer. Let's jump right into Lightroom and we'll talk about the different slideshow options available. First, you'll select the slideshow module and you can see the pictures that I had selected in the library view. I'll go over to the template browser first, just so we can get a quick overview of what some different options are. The top one here, caption and rating, you can see it's showing the star rating up here, and then it's showing the caption down here. And this photo doesn't have a caption, so what you see are 4 little dashes, but that's actually 2 sets of quotes. I'll select a picture that does have a caption and it starts to make a little more sense. So maybe you like that if you happen to have gone in and written a caption. I'll show you that in the library view. In the metadata, it's right here, the caption field. So that's what you would need to populate. So we can just write baby on black. And when we pop back into the slideshow, you'll see that it will appear there. Another option here, crop to fill. This is taking the picture and just filling the entire screen with it. You can see, and if we go to a vertical picture, well, it did kind of an uncomfortable crop on it, right? A little bit less than ideal. I'll give you an example of what this actually does, what the slideshow module does. So I'll click the play button here, and you can see it renders for a second, and then it starts it up, and it makes kind of a nice effect. You can see that it's also fading it in, and it's moving automatically, so it's setting the pace. Now I can go ahead and jump forward, but the point of the slideshow is really that it should work automatically. And so it's fading in and out. It makes your pictures look nice. It can repeat automatically. You might set it up at a party if you just wanted to let your portfolio go all night so that people had something to look at. It's a nice slideshow. Let's check out some of the other options here. The default option, you can see it adds a black border around things. This EXIF metadata option shows even more metadata. So you can see the copyright data is here and the camera settings are down here. I don't think most people are super excited to know the capture date or the ISO speed, but I guess if you're giving a presentation to your camera club, that might be useful information. Widescreen is another option for 16:9 screens. It'll crop the pictures a little bit differently. And of course you have user templates down here. So if you make your own settings with your own custom metadata, locations and whatnot, you can save it and easily refer back to it. So now let's dig in a little bit more about how to configure that. Before we go any further, I'll go back to the EXIF metadata and just show you that you can drag and drop these things. You can grab a corner here and scale it so it's bigger or smaller. You can move it wherever you like. You can take the metadata down here, drag it up. And then when you're done, just click the plus sign here. You can call it My Settings or whatever, save it in the user templates. And then if you change it back, bam, you can recover everything automatically. So let's go one by one through all the different slideshow options so that you understand how you can customize your slideshow if you decide that one of those templates just isn't quite perfect for you. Getting back into Lightroom, under the options panel right here at the top, the first option here is zoom to fill frame. If I select that, you can just see it zooms in on the picture. This wastes a little bit less screen space by filling up the screen, but it also forces Lightroom to crop your picture, and it's not doing it in a thoughtful way necessarily. Sometimes these crops can be kind of uncomfortable. So let's take a look at a couple of pictures. Now here you can see Chelsea's head is pretty close to the top of the frame. If I select zoom to fill frame, that's not a great crop. It's definitely better before I selected that because we don't want to cut her face half off, right? If I go to this picture and bring in zoom to fill frame, it's clearly kind of an uncomfortable thing. You can manually adjust this by just dragging the picture up and down, and it will remember it when you switch back and forth. So if you do want to fill it up, you can go through every picture in your slideshow and make it look good individually. The next option here is stroke border, and this is the border around the edge of the picture. If I turn it off, you can see it kind of disappears. Now, you can make this bigger if you want to. It makes it a little easier to see. Right now the stroke border is set to black, so you can't really see it, but let's set it to something bright. Just going to click that. And let's add a bunch of red to it. There we go. Okay, just so we can see it. That is really ugly. But you can see this is allowing us to put a border around the picture and select the size of the border. It goes around whatever the picture, not the entire screen. So that's ugly. So we'll just turn that off. Cast shadow here, cast a shadow under the picture, and we can't really see it because we're using a black border here. So there is a shadow, but you can't necessarily know, you don't know where it is. Select a different template and we can see the shadow a little more distinctly. You can see it just right there. And I'm gonna hit Shift F to go full screen with this. I'll go ahead and change the offset here so it moves a little bit farther away. If that shadow were a real shadow, this would be like picking the picture up off the background. The modern style is to kind of do away with drop shadows and beveling and all these kind of fancy effects that were popular in the 90s and 2000s. So for me, I'll usually turn things like drop shadows off. But if you like the drop shadow, you can turn it on and you have some control over it. A darker shadow, just drag the opacity up to 100% or down to 0 if you want it to be just about completely gone. The radius will control how big and how sharp it is. You can see if I drag the radius to 0, it becomes nice and sharp. Drag it up here, it becomes nice and blurry. You can also move the sun around by changing the angle. Now look, the sun's at the bottom of the screen and casting a shadow up. All right, shadows are out, so let's just turn that right off. And that finishes up the options panel. Now let's get into the layout panel in the slideshow module. This will give you a little control over how the picture is actually laid out on the screen. First, the checkbox up here allows you to show the guides, and these don't appear during the actual slideshow. This is just to help you make sure things are centered and arranged nicely. You can see if I hit play, they completely disappear. So we'll go back, you can leave the guides on, and now we'll use these to kind of change the borders of the screen. So this is the left, right, top, and bottom borders, and you can see as I adjust one, they all move. That's because for the template I selected over here, link all is selected. If you want to move these individually, just clear link all, and now you can change the left border and make it really fat, and change the top border and make it really fat. I don't know why you'd ever want to turn off link all, so I think it's smart just to leave that and have everything centered for yourself. Now let's go over the overlays panel in the slideshow module. The overlays panel adds more information to your slideshow. And you can see this particular template has the stars up here. I don't know why, if you're doing a slideshow, you want to show people if you considered a picture to be 4 or 5 stars. I don't know. I would definitely be turning rating stars off. Nobody cares to see that. Something you might want to do could be the identity plate or the watermark, however. You can select the identity plate and it shows whatever you want it to show up here outside of the picture within the border. By contrast, the watermarking goes over the picture. You can see, okay, I'll select the watermark, the Northrup photography watermark that I already have set up. You can see it shows up right there over the picture. You could do both if you want to be really obnoxious about it, but I would suggest picking one or the other. If you do go with the identity plate, you have some options. You can change the opacity of it so it kind of disappears. You can change the scale of it because, you know, your name can't be too big. You're really important here, people. Everybody cares about you. You can click this list here and change what you're showing as the identity plate. So you have a few different options. And just like the identity plate up here, it's easy to create your own if you just decide that you want to edit it. There we go. That works nicely, right? We'll go ahead and just turn that off and go with the watermark again. Now, as I mentioned, you can turn the rating stars on or off and adjust the opacity and make them big and huge and obnoxious, but nobody wants to see your stars. Finally, you can add a text overlay. And what we're showing as for the text overlay now is the caption, and this particular picture doesn't have a caption. So let's jump to one that does. The text overlays checkbox turns on or off all the different text overlays you've added. And you can see right now, it seems like it's giving you the option to change the color and change the opacity and font and such, but it's not really. Because this is how you add a text overlay. I hit Shift F to bring the menu bars back up. Go to the slideshow menu here and then select Add Text Overlay. And what it's done is it's dropped in a new text overlay for me. So now you can see that this one particular text overlay is selected. I can now change the color of it. change the opacity, change the font if I feel like it. Oh, what about Webdings? Oh, that one's pretty nice. Your photography fans will definitely like that. And of course, you can grab these handles to resize it. Now, if you want to change the contents of it, maybe select a different piece of metadata, you can come down here and choose something different. So this is the caption, but you might also select the equipment to take a look at what camera was used to take it. Ooh, old classic 5D, old camera. So that's how you add different bits of metadata to it. Go to the slideshow menu, add text overlay, and then once you're down here, select which piece that you want. And if you just want to show any sort of text, you can select custom text and then type your message. Use the left and right rotational buttons here to rotate the entire box, whatever it happens to be. All right, we're making a really obnoxious slideshow at this point, but it's all in good fun, right? That wraps up the overlays option. So we're ready to talk about the backdrop. That's what appears behind your picture. Jumping back into Lightroom, we'll scroll down to the backdrop here and you can see the color wash option. You pretty much want this on because otherwise it's going to fall through to the image. And if you haven't selected an image, well, it's just going to be gray. You can click this to select the color that you want. So maybe you want to make it completely bright or completely dark or anywhere in between. The opacity doesn't make any difference until you get some sort of background image selected. So I'm going to select background image and you can drag a picture right from your film strip into here. So let's say that we want old Mike here as our background picture. This is getting to be a really uncomfortable slideshow for me, but once you get a picture in there, you can adjust the opacity of it, change the color wash. It'd be a little more obvious if I set this to some color other than gray. So this is just an artistic effect that will add a bit of color to the slideshow. So something to understand about the backdrop is that there were actually 3 layers. You have your color wash, you have your background image, and then you have the background color below it, and they're kind of stacked in that order. So if we turn off the color wash and turn off the background image, we're left with just the background color, which is gray in this case. Let's choose a color, a shade of pink, and then we can add the background image above it. And if the opacity of the background image is 100%, then the background color doesn't matter at all. But if the opacity is something below 100%, then the background color does show through. There's no point in adding a color wash unless you also have a background image, but you can add a color wash to further change the background image. The color wash is above the background image. If you adjust the angle, you can see that the color wash isn't even across the entire frame, but it's actually hitting it at a bit of an angle. So it just makes the wash a little bit more lively and a little less static. Now let's jump into the titles panel of the slideshow module. I gotta say, I gotta reset this before we go any further. Because my slideshow has gotten pretty ugly. And you know that I hate those ratings, so I'll turn the stars back off. All right, so now we're back to a pretty good basic template. Let's add an intro screen. And this intro screen is going to pop up before the rest of the slideshow. So I'm going to adjust the scale to make this a little bit bigger. And of course you could select a different identity plate if you wanted to. Maybe you want to do the logo instead. And we'll add the identity plate to the ending screen too, and we'll set the scale a little bit different so we can see the difference. So now I'll go to the first slide and hit play here. And you can see it shows the opening slide. The graphic that I use is a little low resolution for this, so it's a little chunky. Make sure you have enough resolution. Should be at least 1080 pixels high, 1920 wide for a standard HD screen. So that we don't have to watch the entire slideshow, I'll select the last picture here and then click play. And once this goes through its normal cycle, it will show the ending screen now. So that's just a nice way to bookend your slideshow. Now let's move on to the playback panel of the slideshow module. The playback panel gives you control over how fast your pictures are shown and whether or not you have music. You can also choose to manually control the slideshow so that you can skip forward only when you want to. Getting into Lightroom, you'll see the first option here is audio, and you can just select that checkbox and then click Select Music to play some sort of music, the rights of which are kind of complex, so I won't be playing music for you in this video training series, but you can just find any standard audio file, and as long as it's for personal use, it's probably okay that you play your favorite song. If you happen to mix video clips into your slideshow, which is another thing you can do, you can control the balance between the music and the video. Sliding it over towards music makes the music play louder. Sliding it towards the video makes your video clip play louder. If you decide that you don't want it to play every 4 seconds, you can select the manual slideshow. And then once you hit play, you can hit an arrow key to skip forward or back. So if you're planning to man the computer, this is a good thing to do. If you clear the manual slideshow checkbox, you can control how fast the pictures change and how fast they fade. So maybe you want a quick fade, because 2.5 seconds is kind of dramatic, and even 4 seconds is kind of a long time to look at a picture. Nowadays, I'd rather be closer to 3 seconds and like half a second. So let's try that pacing out. There you go. So you can see the cuts between them are much faster, and the pictures just don't stay on the screen as long. Just depends how long you want people to ponder your pictures, but keep in mind, people have a really short attention span. They're probably not as infatuated with your pictures as you, so I like to keep things moving just as fast as possible. You have a couple of more options down here. If the pictures are in no particular order and you feel like mixing it up, you can select the random order checkbox. That's good if you're just leaving it on a loop. Makes it feel a little less predictable. You know, if you're having a house party and you're just showing a slideshow, it's better to leave it on random order unless it's a sequence throughout a wedding or somebody's life or something. If you want the pictures to continually repeat and never end, then go ahead and select the repeat checkbox. Otherwise, you can clear that. Now let's talk about using filters in the slideshow module to control which pictures are going to be part of your slideshow. Now, so far, I've just been playing all the pictures that are in my slideshow, but you'll see that you can use these options here to play a limited number of these pictures. Right now, it's at all film strip photos, but I could select 3 of them. I'm just shift clicking to select the entire range, and then I could choose selected photos, and when I hit the play button here to preview it, you can see it's only going to iterate between the 3 pictures that I selected, as well as my closing title screen there. If I select flagged photos, it's going to select all the pictures that have that little white flag there. So now when I hit the play button, I'll go back to the first one here. Now when I hit the play button, of course, the opening title, because I started on the first picture. Ah, yes, I selected random order, so now you can see it's kind of jumping between them, but it's only picking the pictures that were flagged before. So if you wanted to narrow down the number of pictures that you were showing to only those flagged, that's a quick way to do it. You'll also notice that I'm using the buttons down here to play and stop the slideshow. It's just a quicker way to do it rather than hitting that big play button that I've been using before and having it go full screen. Now I'll show you how to export your slideshow to a video. This allows you to quickly upload it to YouTube, or you could say burn it to a DVD or put it on your smartphone. Anywhere you can put a video, you can take your pictures and make them into a cool slideshow. So let's jump into Lightroom. Once you've made your slideshow, I'll tell it to use all photos again. Just click this export video button here. Now all you need to do is find a folder for it. I'll select the videos folder and I'll just call it slideshow. You can see it's going to save it as an MP4 file, and then down here you can select your video preset. Now, I don't know why by default it would default to 480 by 270. That's like standard. Now, I don't know what that is. That's like VHS. That's some really old-time resolution. Even my smartphone is 1080p. It's disappointing they don't have 4K or anything. You can only go to 1080p. That's what this TV is. That's what most TVs are nowadays, but it could be higher. Anyway, that's the only option we have. So I'll select that and then click Save. And Lightroom will spend just a second rendering the video for me. Right now it's making the pictures and saving it as a video. So now the video has finished rendering, and I'll open up Explorer and browse back to that folder. There's my slideshow. So I'll double click it to play it in the default video player. You can see my title screen is playing there. It's moving through. You can go full screen with this. Very nice, a nice, quick, portable slideshow so you can put it into different formats. Now, quickly, I'll mention that Lightroom, for some reason, also gives you the option to export it to a PDF. A PDF is just an Adobe format for documents. And I do not know why you'd want to take a set of pictures and put them into a document, but I feel like I like to be complete on these things. So let's make a quick PDF here. You see that you can control the quality and the width and whatnot of it. Let's save it. You can see it's creating it up here and it's almost done. Done, okay. So let's jump back into Explorer and we'll see the PDF. So I'll open that up. And this just, it's one picture per slide basically, and you can kind of scroll through it. I don't know why you'd want to make a PDF, but if you can think of some reason, that's how you do it. So up last, let's talk about how to save your slideshow. Once you made it perfect, maybe you want to be able to quickly recover it. Maybe you went on vacation to Montana and you want to make a slideshow of all your pictures and your friends kind of randomly stop by and you want to be able to quickly pull it up and show it off and then just walk away. That's a great scenario for using slideshows, but it would help to have it saved. So we'll jump back into Lightroom. I'll just click Create Saved Slideshow. And for the name, I'll call it Portraits. And you can see that it gives you a chance to save it into a collection. These are the same collections that you're accustomed to using for your actual pictures. So why don't we save it inside the art folder. And then I'll click Create. So now you can see that the slideshow here, it's got a special icon on it, has appeared. And if I go into the library, I can pick those pictures that were part of that slideshow because it works just like any other collection. So in summary, the slideshow module in Lightroom probably isn't the module that you're going to be using the most. But when you want to be able to show off your pictures in a very structured way and make your pictures look great, it's really, really useful. It's also a great way to quickly turn a set of pictures into a video file that you could upload to YouTube or share on Facebook very easily. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to contact me at tony@northrup.org. Thank you.